Obviously, I have a fashion brand, and scent and smell is also something I've always explored within it. We create incense, and we've done collaborations with other partners, and I've always pushed to have scent as part of how I create the world, like the Nicholas Daley world. And then obviously then I look back at smells and scents which feel strongly to my own upbringing and my ancestry. So obviously I mentioned Scotland, so my mum's from Dundee, so I spent a lot of time in the east coast of Scotland. Where my auntie lives, there's like loads of like natural forests, so ferns, moss, all these smells which like were very important to kind of the landscape. And then on my dad's side, who's Jamaican, hibiscus, pimento, allspice. These are like really strong smells when you smell. Like even my granddad and my uncle's cologne, you know, like doing Sunday church. These really strong notes, and like I guess all of this is kind of what brings back those memories. So that's what I quite woody, like cedar woods. Quite like naturalistic, which I think also maybe comes from just like how I use a lot of natural fibers in our collections. We don't use a lot of like synthetics, so a lot of linens, jute, hemp, natural wools from Scotland when we're making time. So I think that's also another reason why this project was really interesting, because I've worked with the likes of Mulberry and Tricker Shoemakers and Fred Perry, other like British like iconic brands. So I managed to bring my interpretation of what British identity is, or how these things are all connected. So I think, you know, that's how I've looked at this project, and how I started to build this like relationship with Molton Brown, and you know, hearing the ideas of artisan and craft with Jacques, who's also has a generational of smells, and your daughter being a perfumist, and similar to my mum being a knitter, and obviously that's why we create the knit products, because I guess there's also something about lineage with, you know, mum and dad, daughters, and you know how you pass things on. So that's how I looked at the project, and I'm excited that we're here today to talk about it.
Thank you. Gala?
Yeah, so the way that I work is quite intuitive, memory-led, I guess. That's how my work is driven. The women in my life as I grew up always had very strong perfumes, very musky, very genderless scents that I always found quite inspiring, and those sort of scents have always kind of like run through my work, I guess, is things that I think about, and that's how I remember the women in my life. So that's kind of how I tend to work when I think about them. I grew up in northern France. There were a load of different smells in the countryside. My parents were also antique dealers, so they'd bring back a lot of different collections of scents and things like that. So the way that I kind of interpreted working with this was, again, it was kind of intuitive, the way that Felipe made the perfume as well. It was kind of out of memory and intuition, so we kind of worked that way. So we were drawing on a lot of saffron leather, a lot of ways of representing fire, and how he kind of represented heat from the desert is the way that I kind of worked around representing the heat in my work, working with flames. So there were those parallels that we worked with. But yeah, I think memories mainly would be from all the women in my life wearing very strong perfumes.
Jacques?
Well, being born on grass, I discovered that my field of creativity would be automatically perfumery, and I developed, like 25 years ago, a black pepper for Richard black pepper for Molton Brown, and I'm kind of flattered that it led Nicholas to develop a creative object inspired by black pepper. And I discover also by the same token that the process to create is pretty much the same. You've got an emotion that leads to developing something in our case, it's very empirical. We blend two ingredients together, and we like to think if it's how it comes out, if it corresponds to our olfactive image, and most of the time it doesn't. And when it does, it's a great achievement, and that's how we build up a fragrance. And again, coincidentally, black pepper is based on moss, which happened to be one of Nicholas' most liked ingredients, and then leather and oak and vetiver, which is more from the Haiti and West Indies part of ingredients, and so it did click between what he has been using and what the ingredients I used to build up black pepper.
That's interesting.